Apprehend God in all things, for God is in all things. Every single creature is filled with God and is a book about God. Amen. Well, good morning. You know, I always wonder what gets you here. I mean, I see that you're here, your body's here, but I wonder if you're here. You know, I wonder if you got in a fight with somebody on the way over here, and so you're still thinking about that. Or an argument about what clothes somebody ought to put on. You know what I mean? Or somebody might be driving too slow in front of you, and by God, you can't be late to church. Right? So, my hope is you can be here right now. Because there's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot going on in your lives. And I hope you can just put that down for a while, whatever it might be. Just put it down and be here. And when you know you're here, raise your hand. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I want to see. Okay, but now that you're here, I want you to go with me somewhere. So not this past Tuesday, but last Tuesday. Can you remember that far back? Last Tuesday. A lot's happened since then. But I remember it like it was yesterday, and I remember it like it was yesterday because it was pouring rain. Remember? And it was kind of warm. And I had to do on Tuesdays, I do a Bible study, book study at someone's house out kind of near where I live. So I thought, I'm going to go home, I'm going to eat something, I'm going to finish up the Bible study, and I'll let our dog out so he can do what dogs need to do. That was the plan. Okay? It was a good plan until I got home. And it was pouring rain. And I thought, well, I can't let the dog out in this, and I'm not going to go out with him. But he stood at the door, our back door, and he just whined. And he whined. And he's a puppy. So should I not let him go? He's kind of giving me a hint. So I opened the door, and this was another plan. And the plan was he would just go outside, go to the bathroom, and come right back in. Yeah, you laugh, but it's happened before. We took him to puppy class, and I've let him out, called him back in, and it's worked. But not today. I let him out, and he shot out of it like a cannon. He just shot out, and he just starts doing donuts around our backyard. He's just running in circles, and running in circles, and running in circles, and it's pouring rain. And I was like, well, I just got to let him go. I tried all the puppy class stuff, and it just didn't work. So I shut the door and went about my business doing what I had to do. But then I had about 15, 20 minutes before I had to be at the Bible study, and I got to get him inside, right? So I go to the back door, and it's a glass thing, and he's sitting there, wet, muddy mess. And he's just looking at me like, what? Let me in. And I'm looking at him like, you disgust me. Why did we get a dog? Why did we get, you know that? Why? And then I thought, wait a minute. Cindy wanted this dog. I'm going to make him stay out there until she gets home, and then she can deal with him. And I thought, no, I can't do that. That's mean. That's mean. So then I just start complaining about the rain. Oh, how's it rain so much? And why does our backyard get so muddy? And when, you know. So, and right at that edge, I don't know if you've ever been at this edge, but I'm at this edge quite a bit. Right at the edge of, I'm going to turn into this whiny little complaining, irritated, annoying jerkwad. You ever been there? I'm sure not you. But I'm right there at that edge, and this comes to my mind. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. Now, this verse has stuck with me for 2 solid weeks. For whatever reason, we've been reading the Beatitudes for 2 weeks now. And that one verse, blessed are the peacemakers, just keeps jumping out at me. And here it was again. And here is a perfect situation for me to practice that. Because the truth is, if you want to be a peacemaker, you got to practice it. You see, in this, Jesus isn't saying this is what you ought to do, this is what you should do. Jesus is saying, he's really kind of inviting us into a way of life. And he's saying, when you connect with the source of peace that is within you, the God within you, when you connect with that source of peace and live from that place of peace, you will experience a deep joy and a deep happiness that the world outside of you cannot give you. You see, the peace that Jesus is talking about today is not dependent upon external circumstances. It's an internal condition that he's inviting us into, that is possible for everybody. So that moment is where I had to decide. Do I want to live from a place of frustration and annoyance and anger? Or do I want to live from this place of peace that Jesus offers? And thank goodness I chose peace that day. So I took a towel and this big lump of muddy, wet mess, and I picked him up because he couldn't walk in the house, right? Picked him up, carried him to the tub. Now, I can't say at this moment that I was experiencing a great sense of joy. I mean, that would not be true. That would be exaggerating. I'm not that mature yet. I think there are some people who could. But I'm not there yet. I got to keep practicing. So I take him back there, and I put him in the tub, and I wash him. And I can tell you this, though, that my annoyance and my frustration and my anger stopped there. I didn't take it with me to my Bible study. I took that peace, and it made all the difference in the world. Now, you see, this is a silly example, right? I'm using the silly examples, and I do this a lot because I'm trying to connect with somewhere we all live. Because if we're going to live from a place of peace, then you have to do it where you live, within the context of your life, with the people you live with the animals you live with, in the situations you live in. That's where it takes place. That's where it happens. Okay, so that's why I use this little silly example. But the thing is, you can see examples of it all around us. We tend to see it in the great peacemakers of life. And then if you're like me, then you think, I can never do that. I can never be like Jesus, or like Gandhi, or like Nelson Mandela, or like Aung San Suu Kyi, or like Martin Luther King. Because they're just so far advanced from me. But you see, they didn't just pop up like that. I think they grew into the peace that was within them, that is within you, that is within me. They grew into it by living it out in the context of the lives that they have. So it's the same for you and for me. So you're not stuck with that silly little dog example. I heard a story that's not quite so silly. Somebody sent it to me, and it's about those 3 guys from Texas. Did you hear about this? 3 guys from Texas who went to President Trump's inauguration. Did you hear about it? 3 white guys. They went to the inauguration. A couple days later, they decided to go to this kind of hip, trendy restaurant, and they had on their red Make America Great caps, and they walked into the restaurant and thought, yeah, these people are going to judge us. So they took their hats off. They went and they got a table, and their waitress was a young African-American woman who just got finished doing the Women's March. And she saw him with the cap on, and she thought, yeah, they're going to judge me. But somehow or another, they got past those preconceived notions that each had for the other. And two of them in particular, Jason White, who was one of the guys, and the young African-American woman, Rosalind Harris, really connected as she was waiting on them. And it ended up being a fun, engaging time. So much so that Jason left her a note on the receipt of his bill. And he said this on the note: "We may come from different cultures and may disagree on certain issues. But if everyone would share their smile and kindness like your beautiful smile, our country will come together as one people. Not race, not gender, just American." And then he added, "God bless." And then he also gave her a $450 tip. But from her side, you see, she said, yeah, the money was great, and I needed the money. But what was more important was what he said and the respect that he showed me. She said, his words were a reminder not to make assumptions, and that so many Americans want unity regardless of their politics. And if you want unity regardless of politics, don't be afraid to connect with someone as a human being. She said, his words are going to stick with me. His words will instill hope in my life. And he says this: we have to think about being better Americans. We have to look into ourselves and how we treat one another. If everyone did a little something to show another person just a little bit of respect, we really can love one another. You see, blessed are the peacemakers, right there in Washington, D.C. Blessed are you, because you have the potential to be a peacemaker. And you have that potential to do it today. Amen.